powerful magnitude 7.6 earthquake has now struck off Japan's northeastern coast, triggering evacuation orders and a tsunami warning for the parts of its coastline. Now, Japan's Met Agency warns that a tsunami of up to 10 feet could hit coastal areas. Tsunami waves of around 16 inches have already been observed in some areas. Now, the United States Geological Survey also reported the quake hit at about 11:15 p.m. local time, and it was about 44 miles off the coast at a depth of about 33 miles. Now, residents in Tokyo also reported a strong tremors being felt, which lasted for over 30 seconds. Now, officials have urged people in affected areas to evacuate to higher ground or safer buildings, including evacuation shelters. And at this point, viewers, there have been no reported abnormalities at nuclear facilities. In fact, officials are continuing to check other nuclear facilities as a precaution as well. Now, Japan's Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi said that government is working very closely with the local officials to assess damage and implement emergency response measures. She emphasized that the government would act as one under the principle of putting human life first. Now, viewers, Japan, located on the Ring of Fire, is in fact very much prone to earthquakes. The country remembers the devastating 9.1 magnitude Tohoku earthquake that struck the country in 2011, which triggered a massive tsunami and nuclear disaster.
Shaky surveillance footage across northeastern Japan shows the moment a powerful 7.5 magnitude earthquake struck the region late on Monday, prompting tsunami warnings and evacuation orders for about 90,000 residents. The Japan Meteorological Agency said the earthquake struck at 11:15 p.m. local time, and that it could send a tsunami as high as 10 feet into the northeastern coast. Hours later, the agency downgraded the warnings to advisories, meaning it now sees lower estimated wave heights and less risk of inundation. It said the epicenter of the quake was 50 miles off the coast of Aomori Prefecture at a depth of 33 miles. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi said on Monday that the government is closely monitoring the damage and that a response team has been established to assist evacuation. And on Tuesday, she told reporters that she's heard of a handful of injuries. There was little information from public broadcaster NHK about major damage or casualties. The JMA issued an advisory for a wide region from the northernmost island of Hokkaido down to Chiba Prefecture, east of Tokyo, calling on residents to be on alert for the possibility of a powerful earthquake hitting again within a week.
And now, viewers, a significant round of discussion took place in London, where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy met British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor. Now, the show of strength that Ukraine gained by the European leaders is being seen as a crucial moment as the Donald Trump administration now increases pressure on Kyiv to consider the elements of a proposed peace plan with Russia. Now, talks here centered on forming a coordinated European position should ceasefire negotiations now advance. And one major focus was, in fact, the potential use of frozen Russian assets to strengthen Ukraine's financing. Several EU countries, including Finland, Ireland, as well as Poland, have already urged the bloc to act swiftly on this proposal, which has been backed by the US. In fact, the leaders also reviewed efforts to secure US security guarantees, which are aimed at preventing further Russian aggression. Now, European leaders also remain concerned that Ukraine could be pushed into accepting terms that favor Russia unless Western partners stay aligned. Now, Zelenskyy is expected to arrive in Brussels for further meetings with NATO Secretary General and key EU leaders, continuing the diplomatic push for a stable and balanced peace framework.
Britain's 10 Downing Street rolled out the red carpet on Monday for an urgent summit as the U.S. steps up pressure on Ukraine to accept a proposed peace deal with Russia.
Is President Trump sidelining Europe again?
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer welcomed his counterparts from Berlin, Paris and Kiev to weigh U.S. proposals that Ukraine concede territories seized by Russia as part of a peace deal. A list of U.S. proposals that leaked last month alarmed European leaders with how much it appeared to meet Russian demands.
We stand with Ukraine, and if there's to be a ceasefire, it needs to be a just and lasting ceasefire.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy on Monday said Ukraine, Europe and the U.S. needed to stand side by side to ensure an end to the conflict.
I think unity between Europe and Ukraine, and also unity between Europe, Ukraine and the United States are something which we can't manage without Americans.
But German Chancellor Friedrich Merz warned that the U.S. proposal was not perfect and stressed that stakes for Ukraine and Europe were high.
We all know that the destiny of this country is the destiny of Europe. So that's the reason why we are here. I'm skeptical about some of the details which we are seeing in the documents coming from the U.S. side, but we have to talk about that.
That skepticism stretches from Downing Street to the front lines in Donetsk. In the city of Konstantinivka, Ukrainian soldiers move from anti-drone netting to bombed-out houses, trying to stay out of sight of Russian UAVs. This 32-year-old fighter gave his name as Dmitro. Commenting on the peace talks, he said, quote, "The demands are as if we started the aggression, not them." Ukraine is enduring one of the toughest stages of the nearly 4-year war. Russian troops are slowly grinding forward in the east, and Ukrainian cities and towns are suffering hours-long power cuts due to intensified Russian strikes on the energy grid and other crucial infrastructure. U.S. officials said they were in the final stages of reaching an agreement, but there has so far been little sign that either Ukraine or Russia is willing to sign the framework deal drawn up by U.S. President Donald Trump's negotiating team. A key demand from Kiev has been that any peace with Russia must include Western security guarantees to deter Moscow from simply attacking again. Washington has so far dismissed that. I think they won't stop because the security guarantees were signed in the 1990s, Dmitro says. Russia gave us security guarantees, and now, if we leave, they will want to take more and more territories. Konstantinivka sits about 31 miles northeast of Pokrovsk, which Russia declared fully captured last week. Ukraine has denied this, saying it controls the northern part of the city. Dmitro said he's not planning on giving up without a fight. I count every centimeter of the motherland as important, he says, and we do not plan to give it up just like that.